Perfect. This is amazing.
Oh, you always love to just start talking before, like as we're going live, because then people on Facebook are like, "Ooh, what were Nick and Karen talking about?"
We just had this conversation on Friday and I wasn't talking. You asked me a question and I answered it. So I'm not sure how now this is my fault.
But we're live and then we go live and you're like, "So then she said, no."
Do you know what I used to do?
Hey,
actually,
oh my gosh, it's a Monday. It's a Monday. It's a Monday.
Good morning.
My camera's blurry. You have to do this to unblur it.
You need some of this.
My camera's blurry. No. It's not the lens. Okay, good. There we go.
Do you know when I was
hey, quiet. Shh, hey, shh. And action. Hey, good morning. Facebook, good morning, Command Your Morning. We actually have people on Zoom today. The numbers are just jumping, huge numbers on Facebook right now. 16, can we get to 17? Let me see 17. It's Nick Baldwin. It's a Monday. I've got Karen Prawl. We're here for Command Your Morning, and it's Leadership Week. I'm just telling Karen right now, it is Leadership Week. We have a week of team leaders. Today we have an awesome guest. I'm not going to introduce her yet. On Wednesday we have another awesome guest, and then on Friday we have another awesome guest. And it's just packed with leadership, team leaders, the ones who keep this company growing.
Do I get to suggest any team leaders?
Hold on, I was just going to get to you. We have like the team leader of all team leaders as my co-host all the time, Karen Prawl. She and I just met a few minutes ago before we went live. And Karen, I just want to say one thing before we get going. I don't know if you knew this, but some people say that I'm kind of a big deal.
Why didn't I wear my pickle costume today? Why didn't I?
I just want to say thank you to my awesome friend Tara Carter from Fort Lauderdale, who sent me this amazing mug because, she said I'm kind of a big deal.
Okay, can I talk now? Because I don't know. This is Nick and Karen. So why do you have to talk so much? So what I was going to tell you, we have pickle contests.
Anyway, Karen, as I was saying. Go ahead. Karen, how was your weekend?
It was great. It was my birthday, which I'm not a huge birthday fan. And I can't believe how old I am. And so I'm a little bit in denial. And since I can't get Botox right now, it's really hard for me to work through this birthday. However, I did win because I went and got my nails done because I'm in Oklahoma. And I have to tell you, the people here, Vicky Zenker, the leadership at Green Meadow, Shaquita is the leader here. I am at a market center outside my house, near my house in Oklahoma, and they gave me my own office. They decorated it for my birthday. They got me a gift basket. They got me my own code because I'm here before anybody, so I could make sure I'm ready for this. And it's unbelievable. I love being with KW because they made me feel like they put me a name sign outside my door.
What? Seriously? You're only there for a week. They gave you a nameplate?
Yeah. The nicest, and I just walked in like it's my home. So anyway, that was a huge birthday gift for me. But you know what I was going to tell you? When I would show houses and I was in Denver selling real estate and the market was super hot, 20, 30 offers on each property, especially I sold $100,000 at a time, hustler mode. And I would always walk out with my buyers and there would always be people waiting outside. And I'd say, I wonder if they'll be able to fix that. And that's all I would say. So that I knew the other buyers walking in would spend the whole time going, wonder what they were talking about.
It's like when you're walking out of the house, you're like, it's a shame that one part is broken. It's a shame that.
Yeah.
It's a shame about that wood rot. See you guys.
Yeah, I'd be like, God, I wonder if they can fix it. Anyway, so I'm super excited. I know team leaders around the country too, and I'm really excited to get to know Lindsey today because she's killing it. But do I get to suggest some team leaders since I'm in my 11th year as a team leader?
Well, if you want to extend Leadership Week to Leadership 2 weeks.
Well, maybe we can just recycle at the end of the month or something. Maybe I have a say because it's Nick and Karen. Yeah, so maybe and Karen.
I know that I texted you a couple times this weekend. You didn't reply. But anyway, what I was going to say was...
That's not actually true.
I texted you happy birthday. You didn't say anything. You didn't say thank you back.
I'm getting there, Nick. Literally, I was so blessed by how many people wished me happy birthday. It was really touching. I'll be honest, and I'm not a birthday person, so thank you.
So happy birthday to you, Karen. I hope it was wonderful. And
Oh
I
my
know
God,
that
shh, we're done. We're done with birthdays.
okay. So Karen, can I ask you what you got going on this week in your life?
Yeah, so we have Zooms every day. We have our big leadership meeting for our group, and it's bold. Like we're in bold pivot, and so that's been pretty exciting. I'm excited to work remotely and still be in touch with my people. I've tell you and I have talked about this. I have never been more, and Zach Younger and I had the same conversation. I've never been more in touch with more people day to day than I have during this Zoom because I realize now why people think I'm so busy all the time because I'm always in a meeting when I'm at the office. So they see it visually.
That I think that that's fantastic. First of all, you know, and I always had that when I was a team leader. My agents and my market center would go and say, Nick is always so busy. Like they would complain about it. Nick's always so busy. I'm like, well, what am I not? Yeah, it's my job. I have to do stuff. Like get busy. You know, I have to do things. But by the way, being a team leader is hands down the most selfless and most difficult, but also one of the most rewarding positions in the company, I think. Would you agree?
100% on both fronts. One, it is the hardest job I've ever had, and I obviously don't do it for the money. I could sell real estate and make more, way more.
Sure.
And two, but the path to most opportunities in KW is through, and you would agree because it happened to you too, the team leader role. And so what
100%.
it's allowed for me, it's changed my life economically. But I took my first team leader job for $36,000 a year.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not bragging. I don't want to brag. But the year before I became a team leader, I made 400,000 in commissions, and then I took a $60,000 a year team leader job. But I did it for two reasons. One, because it was important for my wife to be back in her hometown, and that was when I was offered the position. And two, I know that it's also a stepping stone to other things in the company because it's like think about leadership in our company. Like everybody who we see in leadership, you know, at a regional level, at a KWRI level, you know, for the most part, they've all started as team leaders, you know.
Yeah,
Jason
yeah,
Abrams,
and
Mark, everybody, yeah.
well, and it's like it's not something, the shelf life of a team leader, I think we're making it better by what Gary's initiatives and the Katie Mariah is doing, but the shelf life isn't typically that long. And so there's a few of us, Melanie, Jennifer, Hay, that have done it over 10 years and still plan to keep doing it. And it's
I don't
really, I
know.
know because Nick, when you were a team leader, well, we're crazy, first of all, right? We have to be crazy to do this. But two, it is when you can affect lives and change lives and add value every day. Obviously, it's you do it for the opportunity. And I also look at top 8 producing agents or middle producing or lower producing agents. Typically, they don't want to sell houses forever. There's something more that they're wanting. They're wanting more, and by more it doesn't mean money. Now, money has come to me through my hard work that I get other opportunities, but it didn't happen until I became a good team leader,
For sure.
which that took like
Well,
6 years.
yeah, it's amazing to me how you and Jennifer, Hay, and Melanie, I mean, you guys have been, yeah, over 10 years. I mean, I did it for
Jessica
20 years.
Fox.
Like,
Jessica Fox is like
Jessica Fox,
15 years.
oh my God. I exceeded the life expectancy of a team leader by 2 months. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to quit, I'm going to quit right. I'm going to be like, no, I was 20 months. Oh, okay. Because if you don't
Yeah.
know, if you're not watching, if you didn't know, the average life expectancy of a team leader is 18 months. And it's so funny because I remember when I actually sat down with Natalie Reed, our regional director,
Hmm.
for the very first time, sitting down with her for the first time as the RD. She goes, how long have you been in the role? And I think at this point it was like just about 18 months. And she goes,
And she was
oh,
a
she's
team
like,
leader.
yeah. She's like, you're just starting to settle in. I'm like, that's just hysterical to me because the life expectancy of a team leader is just when you start to settle in, so to
It
speak,
is.
right?
I just told Lindsay that it's 18 months to get your team leader legs, is kind of what I call it.
Yeah. So let's bring on Lindsey. Lindsey Sundin, welcome to Command Your Morning. Hey, how's it going? Hey, Lindsey! First of all, let me introduce Lindsey because
Yeah.
I love Lindsey, and Lindsey is Where'd you go, Karen?
I just had to move my light. I'm good. Keep
Oh,
going.
okay. Karen's like, peace. Lindsey is a team leader in my region, Michigan, Northern Ohio, of KW Domain. It's a luxury market center in that it's in a luxury area. And she's only been in the role probably at this point 18 months, right? Probably about.
Yes, I started as an assistant team leader 18 months ago. My TL role, I'm only a year in.
She's only a year in, and she's like, what I love about Lindsey is that never once have I heard Lindsey complain, at least to me, about anything. Like, she just puts her head down, does the thing. I'm looking at the flash report. Let's just look at this. Okay, year to date, 151 appointments. Year to date, gross, she's at about 30. What are you, about 31? Okay. What did you gross last month, Lindsey? You're normally grossing. You're normally netting. You're doing at least 10 a month, at least, especially in this pandemic. Like, and plus, Lindsey's market center is in a luxury area, so her cap is $10,000. $10,000.
It's a nice area.
Than every other market center in the area, and yet she's bringing in these, like, every time Lindsey calls me and she's like, I got this $20 million producer. Can you do a tech audit? Like, after nonstop, mega. But she also came from Sotheby's. And so what she did for Sotheby's in our region is she basically was their team leader in a sense, right? But I'll stop talking about Lindsey because I can rave about her all day. You go, Lindsey. Tell us about yourself because I'm just going to shut up.
Well, thank you, Nick. The lighting allows me not to blush, which I love because I blush when people talk about me. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been really focusing since I started in the TL role a year ago on people who are at least cappers, if not mega agents. And so this year, I think I've brought in 13 cappers through April, which is great.
What? That's like 2 a month.
My goal is 3 a month. That's where I want to be. And I'm on pace for that, through April. So I'm excited about that. And I think, what helps lead to that success for me, and just talking about my goal setting, is for the first quarter, I tied those goals to my kids. I have 2 little boys, so that's really what's super important to me. And so I asked them, what would you guys want to do if mom hits her goal? And they said they wanted to go to Disney World for spring break. So I was like, if I don't get 3 cappers a month, we're not going to Disney World.
But now you're not going to Disney World.
That definitely motivates me.
Hey, by the way, Logan Wirt, who's watching, he just wants he wants to know who's your favorite agent in the market center.
I would have to say anyone but Logan is probably my.
Yeah, Logan,
Lindsey,
Logan's been to my market center in Naperville, and he came and met with the team there. So I love him too. I wasn't there that day.
He did tell me that. Yeah,
Yes,
he's good at going and shadowing. So maybe I'll have to take his lead and come spend a day with you, Karen.
I would be awesome. I'll come with you.
I also would like to say that Lindsey is a single mom and still crushing it.
Wow.
Yes, I think that has a lot to do with my morning routines, Nick.
Yeah. So let's talk. And Lindsey is one of those team leaders who are like, 1 month she's the top team leader, then the next month she's the second, and then she's number 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Like, it's up, back and forth. So she's always just, and doesn't let anything get in her way. The pandemic is like whatever. So let's talk about that one morning routine with your kids. You have twin boys, right?
They're not twins. I have 2 boys. I have one that is about to turn 8 on Memorial Day, and then I have another that is 10, just turned 10.
Okay.
And so I've been raising the 2 of them myself since they were 1 and 3. Wow. And so that's definitely a lot to do with why my morning routine is the way that it is. That's my only me time really that I ever get is in the morning. So I make sure that I wake up super early so that I have that time for myself. So I generally get up at 5:30 every day.
Okay. What do you do first? You wake up at 5:30. What do you do first?
The very first thing I do before I get out of bed in the morning is I always have gratitude for the things that have happened to me the day before. So I try to think of at least 3 things that have happened in the previous day that I feel like I can be grateful for. My morning routine has definitely started the night before. So really the night before is when I kind of analyze what might I have done differently that day. so that in the morning I can start on a positive note. So at night, I really try to analyze, like, is there a different decision I could have made? Could I have handled something differently? If I could go back and have that conversation again, what would I have said differently? And I visualize how that could have happened. And I think that helps tremendously, because sometimes when you're faced with that same situation again, you can handle it a different way because you've already seen it happen with a different result. So I try to focus on that at night, and I journal. I had a few years of insomnia throughout my life, which started in high school. And so what I've done to overcome that is really journaling out anything that I'm thinking about. If I wake up at 2 a.m, which I know as team leaders, we all do, and go, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this, or I needed to tell this person that, I write those things down so that in the morning it's sitting there waiting for me. So after I do my gratitude, I wake up, I look at my schedule the night before, make sure I know where I'm going to be and when, and kind of know what holes I can fill. And then in the morning, when I'm looking at that schedule, I have a planner that I use where I write out my top 3 things I want to accomplish for that day. And so those could be things that carried over from the day before, because I'm a checklist kind of person. So I'm always writing out, you know, what I need to do for that day, or as things come up, putting things on my list. So I look at that and go, okay, what are the top 3 things that I want to accomplish today? I think that the benefit to that for me is I can see it visually. So then I can go, okay, did I accomplish everything I wanted to today? What needs to move over to the next day? Leverage is always a struggle for me, which I think it is for everyone.
Well, you're probably very independent and like to do things because you have had you to rely on. So
100%. Yeah. So that's really one of my biggest areas for self-improvement, is leveraging things out. So I try to look at that list and go, okay, who can I ask to do some of these things for me, so that I'm not stuck doing all of it myself, which I easily could do that. And then I try to tackle those top 3 things. I look at, you know, what's the order of importance in those, and try to tackle the most important things first in the day, because I think that that helps me to, you know, ease that weight on my shoulders of making sure that I've accomplished really what I needed to that day. I will say with my 5:30 alarm clock, I'm a big believer in never hitting the snooze button. I think I've committed to myself that that's what time I'm waking up. And by hitting snooze, I've already broken my first promise to myself for that day. And I don't want to start off on a bad note. So I always get up as soon as my alarm goes off. I make my coffee, I get in the shower, and, you know, get my day started.
I have a question for you. This is going to be tough for Nick because I've asked 2 in a row now, so that he's really going to struggle. So you're clearly very self-aware and very learning based. And I love hearing about you, but you didn't just become this way overnight. Like, how did you become this way about really getting introspective and thinking about what I could do better? I mean, that just doesn't happen overnight. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been in this business for 19 years now, like I was telling you this morning. So it's, you know, not built overnight for sure. For myself, I think I started a meditation process, which I didn't even know that that's what I was doing, to be honest with you. It was so many years ago. But like I talked about with insomnia, I try to go into my head and make myself calm. And I think it's so easy to make yourself worked up and to get yourself anxious and to get energized. I think people can do that really easily, but it's more of an art to really go inside your own head and go, okay, how can I calm myself? How can I just take a pause and have a minute? And I really try to purposely not react to things, which I think Nick was kind of alluding to, that, you know, I don't complain about stuff. I'm not one to fly off the handle by any stretch of the imagination. And I think over time, I've kind of trained my brain to respond in that way, where someone could yell in my face and I will not react to that. I'll be like, okay, let's just take a pause. Who can we talk to figure out what's really going on here, and try to put yourself in other people's shoes, which is a big thing for me. Like I try not to look at things from my own perspective. I try to look at what has happened in this situation and how could that person feel. And that's a lot of my self-reflection at the end of the day is, how did I make other people feel today? Did I do something that could have upset someone? And I try to really be intentional in making sure that I don't react in that way. And how could I do things differently? But I think the meditation piece is really something that has helped me over time. And now I formally do call it meditation, but I think the way that I started, I wasn't trained in how to do it. It was just something that I did for myself.
It's like a natural evolution. Like I talk about responding versus reacting.
you just said, like, you texted me saying I could talk now, and then you just started to talk.
Sorry, I like her a lot.
So
Karen.
that's okay.
I like you too.
I'm used to the lies. Anyway, listen, Lindsey, so Gary once said that in order to be like a really effective team leader, you have to be the most influential person in your market. And so I firmly believe that in your market, that's you, because you did come from Sotheby's, and at Sotheby's, you essentially did this role, but you kind of made it up as you went along, because Sotheby's doesn't have that structure, right? So like you devised a training curriculum, you did some recruiting, right? So you did all that. And then so when you took the TL job and moved over to Domain, there was an influx of agents that followed you, right? Because you were that influential. And when I look at the flash report, it says 9 cappers, but it's 13, right? Is that what it is? 13 or 9?
Yes.
13. Okay, so that is just that's just a sentiment to the influence that you still have, even though it's been a year and a half since you left Sotheby's. And talk about you do have the influence in your market. And I think it is hard for you to talk about that because you're such a humble person. But what are you doing to continue that influence? Like, what kind of conversations are you having with people, and how are you leveraging your current agents in your market center to help you with that? Because I know that everyone succeeds together, but what type of relationship have you built with your agents within your office that kind of helps maintain that level of capper recruitment?
Well, I think for me, it's always been about relationships, and you hear this over and over again, but I've always approached my relationships with agents that I want to help them as much as I can. And I devised a training program when I was there to help people really get their businesses up and running. As you mentioned, they don't have any kind of a formal training program. There's absolutely zero masterminding. You don't have other people to reach out to doing your role. So you're really left as an independent in a sense to figure that out. And so, I think just the relationships that I built with those agents, I would go out of my way. I can't tell you how many times I've spent my Saturdays and Sundays on the phone walking people through how to write their first offer, or, stopping by their first open house to give them feedback and let them know that I care about them. And it's not because I'm trying to build a business. It's because that's what I do, because I genuinely want to. And I think, you guys were talking about it before I popped on, that it is a challenging role, but I really can't imagine myself not being in leadership in real estate, because this is my passion. I've done it since I was in college, and I can't imagine being anywhere else. I think that I have a lot of guidance to give to people, and I can help them improve their businesses. And if I'm able to do that, I think that that's why people would come to where I went, because I did help them at a time when maybe they weren't a big name in the real estate business. And I spent that time with them, helping them figure out their business plan, putting the time and energy into helping them improve, even if it didn't mean anything monetarily for me. And I think people respect that and are drawn to someone who genuinely cares about them.
Authenticity is probably
think
the best trait I can see in a team leader, is authenticity and genuine care.
So, for me, I had my mentor in my real estate business, was my mom. Like, she was the one that taught me, no matter what, because the customer comes first, and there's nothing that's not in your job description as a realtor, right? Like, when agents say, that's not my job, it is, right? So, like, and whatever you say isn't your job is standing between you and your livelihood, right? So get over yourself. So she was my mentor and taught me that. And our regional director, Natalie Reed, was the TL before you. And I believe, and you can obviously tell me otherwise, but I think that you probably wouldn't in this conversation, that Natalie was an amazing TL. Now she's RD, right? So what we were talking about before is, every great leader in our company definitely has been a team leader at some point or another. And so what did Natalie teach you going into the role that has really just stuck with you? Because Natalie was on fire too for so long.
I got to tell you, like, I decided I wanted to make a personal change in my life and have some greater opportunities for myself going forward. And I knew I couldn't get that where I was currently. And so I had reached out to some brokerages in the area that I felt had the reputation that I would want to align myself with. And one of them was KW Domain, where I am now. And Natalie was the last person that I met with on those list of people. And it was like a done deal. As soon as I got done talking to her the first time, I was like, this is exactly where I need to be. She's an amazing person. And I've never had the opportunity since my first job in real estate to work for someone that I feel like I totally respect. I know that she will make the right decisions for the people in the office. I think she's very selfless. And it's just amazing to work for someone that I feel like is a mentor to me and that I can gain a lot from. And so I was really excited about that opportunity.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I was talking to Natalie.
Awesome.
Natalie called me a couple weeks ago. Natalie has the best approach to everything, right? And she has, as far as I know, she's never gotten mad at me for any particular reason, but when you do something that maybe she doesn't think is the right thing, her approach is so perfect, right?
You have always said that about her, about how she treats people.
She just has the best approach and just really comes from like curiosity, you know, like not, I can't believe you did this. It's like a, I can't really replicate it because it's not the way I am, but just the way she approaches people. And I've noticed that in Lindsey too, very calm, cool, collected, like, you know, at least on the outside, nothing is really bothering her. And Natalie is so great at just sitting there and letting you completely finish everything you're saying. Even if you're talking to her for an hour, she won't make a single peep, and she retains everything you say. And I know that other people will agree with me that it's just an incredible quality that I'm always trying to work on every single second of every single day, just staying completely quiet until that person's done talking, and she's so good at that. And Lindsey did that too, because there's been plenty of times where Karen is okay, but like there's people like I will call Lindsey, because when I was at TL, Lindsey was like, you know, she would always be there to just listen to my nonsense, right? And then she just was so good at like, I guess, talking me off a ledge, which is great. People are asking Natalie Reed, she's our regional director, who was the team leader where Lindsey is now.
Mm-hmm.
But I see a lot of that in you now because it definitely rubs off when you're around those type of people, you know? I just wanted to say that.
I think that's why we do get along so well, and we both kind of have the same approach to things in that way. And I have not in the past been able to work for someone who is like that. So it's really nice to have someone that's a sounding board, that I feel like she respects my opinion and definitely asks for that. And we work together as a group to try to make the right decisions for the market center. And that's really refreshing.
That brings up a really big point, because I have been with my OP, where I'm a team leader, who's now my partner in 4 other market centers. I wasn't always a team leader for him, and finding that right person who's a partner to you, level playing field and respect changes everything, because you have been in leadership for a long time and you have been with other companies, but it's not even about the company. It's about finding that fit to grow with, and what a difference it can make in your trajectory when you are all in the same boat, rowing the same direction.
Yeah, 100%. It's really refreshing, and it's nice to have a leader who I feel like genuinely has the same goals as me and really wants to see the best for the agents, and working for a company that is, you know, built by agents for agents, and having that as the focus is just life-changing in this business for me. I feel like I found my home. Like, this is the way that I am naturally, and to find a company that really aligns with that is awesome.
That's like, I always walk in like, I found my people. These are my, because I was at Coldwell Banker and Remax and other broke Prudential. And so when I got to KW,
so you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, like I found my people. Yeah.
One of the things that's really important as a leader, especially as a team leader, is to realize, you know, when you're not good with something. And so, you know, Lindsey's always been so good about it. You know, Nick, you know, can you do this tech audit, because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And so that's okay. Like, that's why we have people like regional tech trainers and market center tech drivers, you know, to help the team leaders with things that they may not be the best at. Lindsey's good at having conversations, and that's what a TL really should be great at, right? They should know like the ins and outs of command, because Lindsey has told me that, there's moments where she's on Zoom and she just opens up Command and she can show them like the basics, right? But when you want to dive deep, that's when she'll call on someone like me, and she's not afraid to do that. And it's really important when you're in leadership, is to really be aware of what you're not good at and who you're going to call in, because that's what the company is always telling us, like succeed through others. But Lindsey, like, since you got so many cappers coming in, you're obviously having very powerful conversations. Talk to us about what those conversations might look like, right? Because I don't think as agents watching, they understand what we go through and the type of conversations that we're having with people. So what are you typically talking about, cappers and, mega agents?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me since taking this role in the relationships and conversations that I have is that I think there are a lot of companies out there that I know personally, because I've come from them, are not having the conversations that we're having. And I think agents within our organization probably take that for granted or don't even realize how lucky they are to be in this environment, because a lot of companies are not talking about what's happening in the real estate industry, what's threatening our jobs going forward, how lucky we are to have all this technology that makes our job so much easier, talking to people about how to really run their business as a business. And I think that's a huge difference that I see in the market center that I'm in specifically, is that I work with some of the best agents in the business, and they really run their organization as a CEO over their own business. And a lot of agents, I feel like they just throw a dart and they're trying to gain momentum, but they don't even ever analyze how they got there or why they're doing what they're doing. And if you just even go through and say, hey, let's look at where all your transactions came from last year, and reaching out to agents and saying, hey, did you know you're number 24 right now in sales in Oakland County? And they're like, I am? I had no idea. How many agents are in Oakland County? And it's just the conversations that we have. I feel like they're not getting that from their own brokerage. And I don't necessarily have to dive into, you need to come to KW and here's what we have. It's more of just what's happening in your business. Tell me more about that. How can I help you? And I don't care if you work for my office or not. I'm here to help you if you need help. And people will reach out to me that don't work for our office and ask my advice on something, or say, hey, I'm doing this presentation. What do you think about it? Can you take a look at it? Funny enough, I even have agents at my old brokerage that will reach out to me because they have tech problems and they need my help with it.
I have that too. I have people, former offices, like, can you help me with my email? I'm like,
yeah. And I'm like, I don't care. I mean, that's the way that you build the relationships with those people. And if and when this is the right fit for them, they will reach out to me, and I constantly stay in contact with them and just, what's happening in the industry. And I think a lot of them, especially around us, particularly they're with Realogy. They had no idea that Realogy had partnered with Amazon. They didn't know that Curtis was sold. They didn't know the deal fell apart. They didn't know that Amazon was partnering with them.
They don't know. So
I think I try to be a resource to the agents in our market so that they understand a little bit more of what's really going on in our industry as a whole.
Yeah, for sure.
If that makes sense.
Hey, so Lindsey, we talked about your morning. You have your boys. What time do your boys wake up?
They wake up at 7, so I have a good 90 minutes of me time in the morning, which is super important.
So if you just joined us, Lindsey is doing all of this, and she's a single mom to 2 boys that are under 10. So she wakes up at 5:30. Yeah, she wakes up at 5:30. She has 90 minutes to herself, and the boys wake up, and the boys are home, right? Like all day now, because there's no school. So let's throw that salt on the wound, right? Like my boys are home, but there's 2 of us, whereas there's 1 of her and 2 of them. And so she's still getting what she needs to get done. And I think that's amazing. So can you tell us a little bit about what book are you reading right now? That's keeping your mind right and giving you the best type of motivation.
I'm one of those that tends to read a couple books at the same time. So I got a few things going on right now.
Yeah.
I'm reading The Road Less Stupid, which I am finding very enjoyable. I don't know if you guys have read that. That's a great one. I'm really enjoying that so far.
Keith Cunningham.
Yeah, really good. I do have a 365 Daily Llama book that I read 1 page out of a day with my kids that talks about gratitude and really kind of sets the tone for a good day. So we read one of those every morning. I'm reading Demi Moore's autobiography. So that's interesting. My neighbor gave me that. So I try to throw some fun things in with the learning. And then I just started reading Grit also, which I was excited to see that the Pivot group is using that as their book club book. And I'm like, yes. So those are the ones that
Awesome.
I'm reading right now. But I always have a stack of 4 or 5 books on both of my nightstands.
That's awesome.
Yeah, me too. I can't read more than, I have to read, I'll switch back and forth every several days depending on what mood I'm in. But there's always like at least 3 books that I'm reading, and depending on what mood I'm in, I'll pick it up. But I have actually started reading less leadership type books and more like memoir type books, right? Like about successful people and what they've gone through and their journey. And I find that to be really, really interesting because I can follow that a lot better, and it's actual real life stuff that they have done. So I can relate to it a lot better and start implementing that stuff into my life. So are you doing any podcasts? Do you read these? Do you listen to them? How do you absorb the most information?
I do both. I like to read and I do Audible, so I can do both, and I'll sometimes have both books going both ways. At night, I try to read an actual book. I like a real hardcover book to read, and it helps me relax when I'm ready to go to sleep. But during the day, a lot of times I'll have podcasts on in the car. My boys will roll their eyes because I'm always listening to podcasts in the car. They're like, come on, can't we just listen to some music? But it's pretty funny because my son asked me the other day, what's the difference between a commission and a salary? And it's like, I know he's listening, and he's like, so explain this to me. So we're like, okay. I'm like, here, you could have a commission, you could have a salary, you could have both, you can have an hourly job. And so we were kind of talking about the differences between pay structures. And I think they're listening to everything. I'm more of an audio learner than a visual learner, which is a lot different than most realtors. So I do tend to enjoy an audio book here and there.
That's
I love
awesome.
the When Make Give podcast that Ben Kinney's doing right now. I've been jamming on that.
I'm pretty sure you listen to my podcast regularly, The Messy Empire. Of course. Yeah. But I actually might interview you for being a newer team leader. We might have to hook up together because I love hearing about you and learning how well you're doing and how you're awesome. So
yeah, I would love to do that. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
My 4-year-old, he's now 5, as a couple days ago. He goes, Daddy, are you a lab coat agent? Like, he's paying attention. And then he goes, when I go downstairs, he goes, Daddy, you gonna do open house downstairs? I'm like, yes, I'm gonna do open house. Like, they pick up on this stuff. I think it's really interesting. You can start having these conversations. Hey, I'm like, Gus, I really need to do a needs analysis. Can we do your KPA, Gus? Anyway,
let's do a tech audit together.
It is fun. I mean, it's really fun. And I'll tell you, you think they're not, like Nick and I are both kids and our grandkid of a realtor. And I thought I have 3 bonus daughters, and I thought for years they hated me. Well, they probably did, and didn't want anything to do with me. And my middle stepdaughter, who has been the most shy with me, and I've been with my husband for 12 years, she said, do I need to get my master's degree? And I said, for what? She goes, well, to help you in your business. And I thought, oh, and then she wrote a paper about me last week. And so she's a senior in college. And I was like, so many years I thought she hated me, when in fact, when we talk about impact and being able to help people, she has been listening for 12 years. And it will show up in the right way. And the fact that your son even asked that question, he's thinking. And so you're really teaching him. So it's amazing.
The younger one they've been learning about different careers in their online education for my almost 8-year-old. And he picked a realtor as his job. They gave different videos to watch on different jobs, and then they got to choose which one they would like to be. And he picked a realtor. So I was like,
hey, for the agents watching who don't really truly understand what team leaders go through every day, I can honestly say that being a team leader really helped me time block more than like ever in my entire life. So, and this isn't a bad thing. It's just, it's a teaching moment, right? When agents come into your office, do you have a minute? Do you have a minute? Do you have a minute? It's very difficult to have them realize, you might not have a minute, right? And when you say, is it really a minute, right? It's not to put them down. They just don't understand everything we're doing all day long, right? It's so incredibly, when I have an agent who would text me, Nick, do you have a second to talk? I'm like, I do at like 5:30, right? And it's not that I don't want to talk to them. It's just like we are so regimented. What's a day look like for you before we wrap up? Because I know what your day looks like because I'll go into her office and
there's post-it notes everywhere.
Yeah.
A typical day for me,
like
we do a huddle every morning at 8:45 with the staff. So my leadership team was huddling without me today since I'm here with you guys, but I set them up before I jumped on the call. And I could kind of hear them through my cell phone.
So I'm not really sure about that huddle, but anyway, go ahead.
We'll find out how that went, right? I try to do time block my lead gen in the morning when the agents are doing their lead gen. And when I'm busy doing that, I put something on my door where they can sign up. So they know, hey, I'm busy doing my lead gen right now, but if you need something, leave your name here. And when I'm not in my office, I try to leave that on my door so that people can put their name down if they need time. And like you said, Nick, even if I'm like 4 minutes out from my next appointment and someone says, do you have a minute? I'm like, yeah, I have 4. You know, does that work?
It's not, if it's not to be short,
I'll quadruple that. That's how great I am.
It's not to be short. It's just to make sure that you are following your calendar, because as a team leader, like my husband said, if you had followed your calendar and done the work as you're doing as a team leader, as a sales associate, you'd be bringing in $3 million a year, because we have to be so time blocked.
Well, and I feel like I want to make sure that I give them the respect and the time that they need. So if this isn't a 4-minute question, then let's circle back at 1 o'clock when I'm available or whatever. So I have the time to fully listen to you. Yeah, because if I'm rushed, I don't want to disrespect someone and not take the time to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So like, not obviously not making them feel like you're blowing them off, because you're not. You're like, it depends how, I just want to make sure how much time you have, because I don't have that time right now and I want to be all in on you. And I do have 15 minutes, like around 4 o'clock. Would that work, right? Because we are so regimented and we do have our calendar blocked off. Like even as tech trainer, like I have these like blocks, like probably for the entire year, where I put tech audits and I put course classes and I have times for phone calls and times to check my email. And so you have to be really, time blocked with when you're going to get certain things done. So then people start to understand what your day looks like for the most part. So 2 things. Logan says a great day would be if you called him. And I know that Karen has to go and I have to go as well. And
I'm time blocked at 8:15.
Yeah. So Lindsey, I appreciate you being here. It was great insight.
Thank you so much for having
me too. Lindsey, you're awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen. You are too.
I'm just doing this so Karen, I'm just bringing on people Karen doesn't know she can make more new friends.
Making new friends, right?
Yeah.
I'm like her much older aunt. I'm like her much older aunt.
Anyway.
You could be my aunt anytime, girl.
Okay.
She just left. She's very time blocked. It's 9:16. She's actually a minute over. But I appreciate you being here. I'm one of your biggest fans, so thanks for joining us. And
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Let me know if you need anything, and let me know when your next mega agent appointment is, who wants to see our technology, and I'll be there for you. And have an amazing day.
Sounds great. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Lindsey. Bye.